Hey there. So today we are going to be talking about how to get your glow back, that healthy, youthful glow that you may have lost if you are getting older, you're perimenopausal, menopausal, you're probably struggling with dryness and fine lines and all kinds of stuff. So we're going to talk a lot about what's going on and why this happens as we age. First of all, you have to understand that every part of our body has its own microbiome. So yes, we talk a lot about the gut microbiome and the bacteria and everything that lives in there, but your skin has a microbiome too. And that's why all the harsh soaps and things that they used to sell for acne actually is really bad for your skin, because anything that is too drying is going to upset the balance of the microbiome on your skin and actually cause more issues. So if you do get adult acne, it's going to cause more breakouts when you strip that oil out, because that affects the type of bacteria that can survive. And as far as I understand, I believe that P. acnes bacteria that causes acne actually can thrive better when we strip the skin of its moisture. So obviously we don't want to do that anyways, because most of us as we age, myself included, are struggling with dry skin, right? So obviously we want to avoid harsh soaps. But working on our gut bacteria is going to have a big influence on our skin. And we're going to talk a bit about fat absorption and bacteria balancing and certain foods that we can eat to optimize our skin health. So number one, poor absorption as we age. As we age, we get lower stomach acid naturally, especially if you have any kind of autoimmune condition or you're on an antacid. It's natural to have less stomach acid, which means that you are at risk for things like SIBO, this bacterial overgrowth in your small intestine. And it means that you're just not going to be absorbing nutrients like healthy fats, which are important for skin, as well as you used to. So with SIBO, this bacterial overgrowth, is incredibly common as we age because of the low stomach acid, right? If there's no acid to keep the bacteria in check, and low bile is incredibly common too with age. So bile comes from your liver and is stored in your gallbladder and is released after a meal to help you break down and absorb fats. It's also an antibacterial mechanism to prevent you from getting bacterial overgrowth or imbalances in the gut like SIBO. So why does it matter if we have SIBO other than having gut symptoms like belching and bloating and indigestion? It matters because absorption takes place in the small intestine. And that includes things like fats, like we said, are so important for our skin. So if you have too much bacteria and inflammation in there, not enough stomach acid, not enough bile, you're not going to be absorbing your nutrients from your food. You're going to have nutrient deficiencies. You're going to not be absorbing fat, which you can definitely tell by looking at your stool. So if it's greasy, it's floating, sticking to the toilet bowl, those are signs of fat malabsorption. And then you're going to end up with drier skin. So we really have to optimize, especially our small intestine health, where things are absorbed. So we have to do things like boosting our digestive power. So that might look like taking a digestive enzyme with acid and bile and enzymes in it. However, I don't recommend you self-prescribing. I do recommend you checking in with me, booking a session with me if you really want to try some of the supplements I talk about, because especially if you're on medications, enzymes not so much, but herbs especially, if you're on medications, there's a high potential of interactions. But also, if you've had chronic stomach issues like gastritis, ulcers, heartburn, you want to be careful with enzymes. You can also try things like an apple cider vinegar or lemon juice before a meal to help stimulate your digestive juices. But all this being said, if you've already developed SIBO and you have a lot of these upper gut symptoms, you need to work with a practitioner like myself to get it under control. It's a very complicated thing to treat, and it's not a DIY project. Okay, so bacteria shifts, bacterial imbalances, low stomach acid, these are all factors. The bile situation. As we age, a lot of women end up with liver gallbladder issues, especially gallbladder. If you've ever been on birth control, it's a big one. And just the fact that your estrogen levels are changing puts you at risk, especially if you are having extra weight in your midsection. That does put you at higher risk as well. And or if you've ever rapidly lost weight, that does put a strain on the liver gallbladder and processing the excess fats that are floating around. And so know that you don't actually have to have liver or gallbladder disease or actual gallstones to have problems here. If you feel a weird like pain, pressure, discomfort up under your rib cage here after a meal, especially if it's high in fat, that's a good sign that you might have issues with your liver, gallbladder, and the bile being released. So it doesn't have to be a gallstone, but it might be sludgy and thick, and it's just not being released in response to a meal. So it may also be low in digestive enzymes. Those are crucial for digesting fat as well. They're produced from your pancreas and from the lining of your small intestine. So again, if you have that SIBO, your small intestines all inflamed, you're not going to be producing those digestive enzymes that are crucial to break down and absorb your food, including fat. So what can we do? What are the kind of foods that we can add to our diet to help us get healthy, glowing skin? So number one, I would say, is to work with someone to optimize your digestion, absorption, and balance out your gut bacteria. Because no matter what healthy foods you add, you can eat all the healthy foods in the world, but if you're not absorbing that fat, right, your skin's not going to get that glow. Secondly, before I dive into the diet tips here, I want to mention about collagens. I know a lot of women ask about collagen. You can try collagen supplements. However, like anything else, your body prefers to make its own collagen. And it does so from vitamin C and I believe it's hydroxyproline. Don't quote me on that. I'm going to do a little more research on that. But the one thing I did come across was that aloe vera, if you drink aloe vera juice, which you can get from the health food store and put in your smoothie, that helps your body make collagen. And so, yeah, you can have things like bone broth. You could try a collagen supplement, but it's not going to get you the benefits of optimizing your digestion and absorption. Okay. So diet tips, healthy fats. We want to focus on healthy fats only, not only, but most of the time, right? So nothing wrong with some butter and some animal fat and whatnot here and there, but the healthy fats are the ones that are anti-inflammatory and give you that nice glow. So we're talking about unrefined, unprocessed oils. So avoiding vegetable oil, canola oil, and focusing on cold pressed, unrefined oils like olive oil, avocado oil, cold pressed. Some of them are not. And any other oil you can find that's cold pressed, like a grapeseed oil or something like that. Butter is also fine. We want to have more nuts and seeds in your diet. Nuts and seeds are really high in healthy fats and fiber, but they're also really great at balancing hormones. Fermented foods are really, really good. So I would say avoid dairy, especially if you get breakouts and adult acne. You want to avoid dairy, but you can get fermented like vegan yogurts and then fermented pickled type foods. So sauerkraut, kimchi, what's the other one? Sauerkraut, kimchi. There's a bunch of them. Pickled stuff, but it has to be the ones that are in the refrigerated section with the cloudy stuff in the bottom. And the only ingredient is like water, salt, and whatever vegetable. If it's on the shelf and it doesn't have that and it has vinegar added, that's not a true ferment. Having more fiber to feed the healthy gut bacteria that allow you to digest your food properly, right? So as much variety as possible, having the fibers that you do best with. So if you don't tolerate some of the higher FODMAP foods like garlic, onion, and the broccoli family, sticking with fibers that work for you. So whether that's, berries and green beans and peas and whatever that works for you, that fiber is going to help you feed the healthy bacteria, bring down the inflammation, and get that balance in your gut. Foods that support your liver, because a healthy liver is one that can make enough bile and do all the things you need to do, detoxify toxins that are coming into your body. Liver detox is really crucial for all aspects of health, especially skin. So people that get breakouts on their chin, that's usually like a liver detox issue. So that could be cutting back on alcohol and over-the-counter medications for sure, but getting things that will actually support your liver in doing its job. So things like dandelion and dandelion tea, bitter foods, so radicchio, broccoli rabe, lemon juice in water, green tea, the brassica family, so broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, all of those. These are all liver-loving foods. Also artichoke and beets and radishes. We want to also look at balancing hormones. So as estrogen declines, we need to do something to make our body feel like it has a bit more estrogen in it, because estrogen is important for skin health. So what we can do, especially if you're menopausal, you want to get some phytoestrogens in your diet. or soy isoflavones. So that means soy products, edamame. Try to avoid the processed things like veggie burgers and fake meats, but soybeans, edamame, tofu, tempeh, those are all good. Other phytoestrogen rich foods are other beans and lentils, flax seeds, sesame seeds. I think that's most of them. But what they do, basically, they're a weaker estrogen that binds to the receptor in your body. So if you are perimenopausal and your hormones are all wacky and you actually have high estrogen, having some phytoestrogens in your diet will have a net effect of lowering your estrogen to help balance things out. What else did I want to talk about? Gut bacteria. So if you have a lot of inflammation coming from the gut due to this bacterial overgrowth or imbalance, you're going to get a lot more issues with things like rashes and maybe even eczema. So we really need to work on balancing that gut bacteria out. And it's not as simple as just taking a probiotic or something like that. We really need to do this 4-step for our gut healing protocol. And it's unique to every individual. So I recommend you book in a session with me to get a personalized protocol to heal that. Those are also common, especially if you're starting to develop like psoriasis or other more autoimmune type reactions. Very common with chronic gut issues. So getting that treated early on before it develops into another full-blown autoimmune disease is really crucial. And then, as I talked about, reducing the strain on the liver. So that means reducing over-the-counter medications, painkillers, antihistamines, anything like that that puts a strain on the liver, and having lots of liver-loving foods. And then if you're really struggling with your skin health and you're feeling like none of these tips are working, again, highly recommend booking in with me to do a personalized gut healing protocol, because everyone's needs are very different depending on what stage of life you're in, what gut issues you have, because there are so many different kinds, and your diet, your stress, like there's so many factors, right? You are a unique person and you deserve a unique and personalized care.